I get it. When a friend says they are thinking about splurging on a new gaming rig, I'm the one they call first to make sure they don't end up with something that looks great on paper, but turns out to be a daily hassle. That nervous, what if it can't keep up with my favorite titles, or I can't fit it under my desk, moment is real, and it's exactly why I wanted to break down the msi Aegis ZS2 5070 gaming tower before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through why this machine might be the sweet spot for some gamers, and why it could be a miss for others. First off, the Aegis ZS2 is positioned as an all-in-one performance box. It comes with an AMD Ryzen 7 8700F and an RTX 5070, which together are more than enough to push 1440p and even 4K gaming in many modern titles. The real question is whether you need that level of horsepower right now, or if you're banking on future titles that might demand it. If you're someone who streams while you play, does heavy multitasking, or likes to keep a bunch of apps open, think Photoshop, Discord, and a web browser while the game runs at high settings, the 64GB of DDR5 and a 2TB SSD will feel like breathing room. You'll notice the difference the moment you launch a large open-world game, drop into a live stream, and switch over to a video editor without the system stuttering. That said, the tower isn't a discrete piece of furniture. It's a fairly bulky case, with RGB lighting that can be a bit loud when the fans spin up under load. If you're planning to put it on a cramped desk in a shared living room, you might find the size and the occasional whine a little intrusive. For a dedicated gaming nook or a bedroom where you have the space to let it sit on the floor, the visual flair of the lighting and the included backlit keyboard and mouse blend nicely into a setup that feels purpose-built. One practical strength that often gets overlooked in spec sheets is the connectivity mix. The Aegis offers a solid spread of USB ports, 5 USB-A 2.0 for legacy peripherals, 3 USB 3.x for faster drives, and 2 USB-C that can handle data and video. If you run a 3-monitor rig, the DisplayPort and HDMI outputs on the RTX 5070 make wiring straightforward, and the Wi-Fi 7 module ensures you won't be bottlenecked by a shaky wireless connection when you're gaming from a couch away from the router. I've seen people struggle with older cards that only have a single HDMI output, forcing adapters and extra cable clutter. With this box you can hook up a 4K TV, a 1440p monitor, and a secondary display for chat or monitoring without any extra dongles. Now, who should walk away? If you're a casual gamer, who mostly plays indie titles, or older AAA games at 1080p, you're probably paying for performance you'll never tap. The RTX 5070 is overkill for those scenarios, and you might be better off with a mid-range build that saves a few $100s. Likewise, if you're a laptop-centric user who values portability above all else, this tower defeats the purpose of moving around. The Aegis is a stationary investment, and the weight and footprint make it a poor fit for dorm rooms or small apartments where space is premium. Another hidden trade-off is power consumption. The combination of an 8-core Ryzen and a high-end GPU means the system can draw a noticeable amount of electricity, especially during marathon sessions. If you're environmentally conscious or have a limited power budget, factor that into the total cost of ownership. The box does come with a decent power supply, but it's not a silent, low-heat solution. Expect the fans to kick in louder during intensive rendering or when you're pushing 4K frame rates in the latest shooters. Upgradability is a mixed bag. The interior is laid out in a way that you can swap out the SSD or add an extra drive without too much hassle, and the RAM is all DIMM, so future expansion is possible. However, the proprietary cooling solution is tightly integrated with the case design, so moving to a custom water loop or a larger aftermarket cooler would be challenging. If you love tinkering and swapping components every few months, you might feel boxed in after a year or two. For people who want a set-it-and-forget-it experience, play, stream, upgrade the GPU once in a while, this is less of an issue. From a price-to-performance standpoint, The Aegis is positioned near the higher end of pre-built gaming desktops. The value you get isn't just in the raw specs, but in the convenience of having a ready-to-go system that includes a keyboard, mouse, and Windows 11 Home pre-installed. For someone who isn't comfortable installing an OS or troubleshooting driver issues, that turnkey approach can save hours of frustration. If you're comfortable building your own PC, you could probably assemble a comparable rig for less money, but you'd miss out.